If you can't hear me, you're deaf, right? Unless I talk through my nose.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. It's a mask. Okay. All right. Well.
I'll do my best.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Can we go up there? Yeah.
Okay, here we are. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the very famous cross-dresser, Jamie Farr.
Thank you.
You know what to do. Give it up. Give it up.
Which side do I?
Okay.
This is a
aren't
terrible
you
joke,
sweet?
but I also tell everybody, please, Loretta, the T is silent in Farr.
You have no idea the laugh lines and eye wrinkles this man has given me over the years from laughing.
Okay, I'm just waiting for you. What are we supposed to do? You want to talk to?
We're open to questions. Everything you ever wanted to know about Jamie Farr, ask
about
me.
MASH and about Loretta also.
Yeah, just raise your hand if you have a question. Doug will come around with a microphone.
It's called Q&A.
Yeah, and thanks for showing up early. This is great.
Yeah, that is.
All right.
And let me tell you, before you ask a question, you know, she was the only lady star on the show. And I got to tell you something. When they said ready for camera, she was the first one there. And it wasn't like Charlie's Angels, you know, doing the hair, the makeup, and finding out if their bra was on correctly or whatever the heck it was. She was there all the time. We loved her because she was not only one of the guys, she was one of the leaders. Thank you. I think that applause.
All right. We've got our first question right here.
So what was your favorite outfit to wear on the show?
I'll take a break now because
No. Let me tell you something right now.
He'll be talking
She used to get mad at me because I had better wardrobe than she did. She wouldn't talk to me, you know, for weeks. I think, if I look back on it, which one do you think might have been my favorite? And I'll tell you why I think this
my
one was.
favorite was Cleopatra.
Okay, Cleopatra. That was one of my favorites.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
But there's something about the Statue of Liberty.
That's the one. The Statue of Liberty.
Flying through the air.
Yeah.
But then again, the fuzzy pink slippers.
Oh, flying over the compound. I have those at my house. I kept those in the Mary Janes that I had when I was the Judy Garland with Toto, the dog. But let me tell you about the other outfits. Some of them are in the Smithsonian Institute.
This is true.
And one of them is one that I used to get them from the wardrobe department at Fox Studios. So a lot of the stars, you know, were there. Betty Grable, Alice Faye. I wore one of the dresses that Ginger Rogers had worn in one of the movies, and Kelly Nakahara, Nurse Kelly and I, we did a takeoff on Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. She was Fred Astaire, I was Ginger Rogers, and we did something like cheek to cheek. Well, the show airs, everybody's laughing at the thing. The next day, I'm in the commissary at Fox Studios having lunch, and Ginger Rogers is there. She's doing a guest spot on Love Boat. So she comes over to me, she says, you know, Jamie, I saw you last night, and she says, I got to tell you, when you and that Nurse Kelly did a takeoff on us, that dress looked a hell of a lot better on you than it did on me. And that dress is in the Smithsonian.
We had a running gag. Monday was our rehearsal day, and it was the most exciting, innovative, charming, wonderful day every week of my life. The talent, it was just extraordinary. The writers are there, the producers, the director, and the talent, and the ideas and it was great. So Mondays, we came in civilian clothes, and Jamie would come up to me, and he would say, is that one of mine? So we had every Monday, instead of hello, is that one of mine?
And you know, and truly, you hear this about a lot of celebrities. They say, yeah, we were on this show, we were like a family, you know, but I got to tell you, you know, after 11 years, we were like a family, and it was so much fun going to work every day and getting paid for what we were doing, you know, which is really important. But every night I would go home and my sides would be hurting from laughing with everybody and
This is
on the
true.
set.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so much fun. I couldn't wait actually to get up every morning to go to work to work with all these wonderful people.
In
that we
addition,
had.
we would see each other when we didn't have to. In
Yeah.
other words, I'd leave them Friday, and I'd have a lunch date with Harry Morgan the next day. Harry and Eileen, his first wife, and we just or would go. Alan would have a get together or something at parties. The last Emmy Awards, we didn't want to be separated, so we hired a bus, and the entire crew went to the Emmy Awards. I have to tell you, CBS and Fox, they give you these long, wonderful limousines. And you travel in style. You're garbed and you're gowned. We went on a bus so that we could all be together. You know, it's just there's families and there are families, and we are a family, truly.
Also, let me let you in on something. Fox Studios was one of the cheapest studios
This
you
is
could ever
true.
possibly work on.
This is true.
Stage 9, which was one of the oldest stages where our set was and everything, we didn't have a bathroom.
This is true
And
also.
we'd be in our wardrobe, and if it was raining outside and we had to go to the bathroom, we had to cross the street. Well, you obviously the costume is going to get wet. You can't use it, you know, if you're going to be in the scene like that. So they finally built a bathroom for us that we could have. But let me tell you, there was one time everybody left early, and I had this black dress on, and the show hadn't aired yet, where my character has come on the scene, and everybody had left, and the zipper was in the back of the dress, so I couldn't get the zipper. So I went into the men's restroom. And there's this big grip sitting there, you know, standing there, and he's washing his hands. He says, "Excuse me, sir, could you help me?" He looks, he goes, he didn't know who the hell I was, you know, I mean, the guy wearing a dress, a black chiffon dress or whatever the heck. And I says, "Could you unzip me?" And he did. He unzipped me. And I said, "Thank you very much," and I got the hell out of there. I wonder what that guy said to his wife, you know, when he went home.
We also, for the first season or two, paid for our own coffee. There was a coffee cart on stage 9, and we had to buy our own coffee. And one day, the guy who ran that little concession brought in a jar of peanut butter and some crackers. The stage manager, what was Mark? What was his title?
He was the hatchet man at the studio who had the budget.
He came in and said, "We have to charge you for the peanut butter."
But may I add something to this? He did not only say we had to charge you for the peanut butter. We'd be paying for the coffee and everything else. A directive came down to the stage that we were paying. It was costing them too much money for the peanut butter and the Ritz crackers and that. So we all got mad, and we said, okay. So Loretta, everybody, Alan and Mike and David and all of us and Bill and Gary and that, we each took out a $100 bill. And we went to the head of the TV department, and the guys go, "What the hell are all these stars coming in, you know, from the series?" And we put down a $100 bill, each one of us at that time. He said, "What's that for?" He said, "That's for the peanut butter that they said that we were." He said, "You're paying for peanut butter and coffee?" He says, "You want peanut butter? You want crunchy, smooth?" The next day, there were cases of peanut butter for that. Up at the thing, went up. Remember, crafts and services went all the way up to the ceiling. And
I love that the choice. Do you want crunchy or smooth?
yeah, you want crunchy or smooth. He gave us both.
Yeah, Fox was an experience, but it did. You know, nothing mattered because what we did together and the ensemble. Last night at a wonderful birthday party, we were talking about old times, and I started to talk. I started to say at the end of the day, they generally waited to do the scene in Potter's office because the walls of his office were very expendable. They can remove and they could shoot any which ways. It was just, and also you had Potter, a single. You can do immediately, and then you turn around the camera and get us. And all I did was say, we did Potter's office. He started to lose it. He was laughing so hard because all the memories came back about how tired and crazy you couldn't breathe at the end of the day. The air conditioning, it was no air circulating. We were all manic. And now Harry Morgan was an imp. He would get his scene was great. They're on him, he's perfect. Turn around to us, and we had to look at that imp and try to keep a straight face. It was impossible. One day, which is burned in my memory, Mike Farrell, who is 6'4" and a Marine, is lying on the floor helpless from laughter. He's holding his sides. Tears are jetting out of his face from laughing. And we can't. And the director is sitting on the director's chair saying, "Please, people, I'm going to get fired. Please, people." I'm telling you, it was, you could not tell when the suits came down to it. They couldn't get us. We couldn't stop laughing.
There was a scene. It was toward the end of the day, as Loretta said. And when you got all 7 of us together, that was trouble. I mean, because everybody could break somebody up, and you could see the twinkle in the eye, and you know, boy, you were gone right away. So the director, it's the end of the day. This is a big scene. We got all 7 people, and everybody has dialogue, so you got to cover the whole scene. So we started laughing. We couldn't stop laughing, and they had to call the front office, the producers and the writers down there to make it, to be stern, to look at us like we're going to lose our jobs and that. So they come down, and they're standing around, and we start the scene again. We start laughing. They start laughing. They're laughing, and the directors, they got the guys laughing here, the guy laughing over there. So then they called the executives of the studio, the guys in the suits, they owned the studio, that they came down, they started laughing. So the guy says, "Oh, the hell with it, let everybody go home." And that was it. We're all out of there.
It's so amazing. We had this lovely, he became a director at a certain point, but he was the camera operator, cinematographer, and he would laugh so hard it would ruin a take because the camera was shaking. And that this is, of course, your best audience. You know it's working when the camera operator can't keep a straight face. It's just, in my book, I called it the magic of MASH. It really was magic. The synchronicity of bringing those particular people together at that particular time for the world, it just was magic. And we didn't have to finish sentences after a while. I mean, we're just so bonded and so crazy, and it was magic.
Did Loretta tell you about the responses that we get through the fan mail and email and everything else? It's incredible because Loretta and I talk about this, all the people connected with the show, is it wasn't just an entertainment show. It was an inspirational show to so many people who watched it that say it put a value in their life. A lot of them come around and they say, "I became a doctor because of that show. I became a nurse because of..." Joined the Army. The only thing I used to get mad is nobody ever said I became an actor. The doctors, nurses, the Army, whatever the heck it was, but nobody said I became an actor. But some of the most inspirational letters that we get, and people who are ill and made them laugh, and for that half hour that you had that took you away.
The thing about MASH that I love most is that it brought families together. I'm constantly hearing, I cry when I watch MASH today. It reminds me of my dad. I sat with my dad and we watched it together, or mom, or whatever, and that's why it continues to today. And I think there's no end in sight. The costumes, as it were, will never date the show. You don't have, a costume from like the Charlie's Angels costumes or whatever. So you have that going for you. It could be any war. It doesn't matter what you think it is. It could be Vietnam. It could be the Second World. It doesn't even. So it's never dated. And all the issues, these brilliant production writers, they were so brilliant, so visionary, that you can watch something today that is so relevant to what's happening to our lives today. So it's just, it became, I call it the global MASH family. We're all so bonded to these, and I don't call them characters, they're people. They became people. The reason they don't say, "I want to be an actor," is because they never saw the acting. They were just people, and we were all related. Now, I saved well, a lot of very meaningful fan mail. I can't, it's irreverent to throw it away. It's so touching and poignant. I received years ago a letter from a woman whose father walked out, and mother was left in charge, and she had to hold down 2 jobs to support. And she started to drink, so she'd come home late and start to drink, and the child was deprived of having that kind of support. She started to watch MASH. I became her big sister, and she relied on me. You know, this person on television in what is ostensibly a comedy show. I became her big sister. She survived because of it. From watching MASH, she survived. She's married now with children. She's a nurse because of Houlihan. Now, you know, this is a blessed way to live, and we get that every day. People say to us, here, aren't you tired of, isn't this, you know, no. How would you like to live your day with 100 people telling you they love you? Would that? It's an amazing way to live your life. It validates everything I've ever done as an actress. You know, this is why I'm here, I guess. There had to be a reason I'm here. I did not invent the longer-lasting light bulb, so this is what I did.
You're in the military for real? Oh, you're in the military for real. Where did you serve, sir? Okay. Do you know? As Loretta mentioned, Mike Farrell, who played BJ, was a U.S. Marine. Alan Alda was U.S. Army. No, I'm going to tell him. Get out of my cameo. Get out of my cameo. Yeah, and Bill Christopher was U.S. Army also, and he served in Germany, and I was U.S. Army, and I served in Japan and Korea, and I opened up Armed Forces Television in Korea, and I also wore my own dog tags on the TV show that I have, and I still have those. Just to let you know, some of the guys on our show were they. And may I share this? I don't know if Loretta even knows this, but my cousin, you may have heard of him, James Jabara. He was America's first jet air ace, shot down 60 MiGs in the Korean War, and he came back to Wichita, Kansas. And he and his daughter were accidentally killed in an automobile accident. Can you imagine that after that? Yeah, exactly. So my uncle was he was a corpsman in the World War II. He served in North Africa, and a lot of my uncles and aunts. So our family has really supported our military very, very much. And I want to thank you, sir, for your service. Oh, yeah. Okay, should I apologize? You didn't do what I did you? No. Okay.
First thing I was like, this is not like MASH at all.
You know what I got when I was in basic training? The last movie I did before I went into the real Army was No Time for Sergeants with Andy Griffith and Don Knotts. And I was a lieutenant in the movie, Lieutenant Gardella, that takes the airplane where they're going to do the atomic bomb and that. The next day, I had to show up downtown L.A., and now I'm in boot camp. You can't believe the ribbing I got from everybody. You know, lieutenant in the movie, and now one of these guys that in boot camp. There was one guy that tried to get out of the Army, not by dressing, in female wardrobe, but he used to jump out of the barracks from the second floor to try to claim. Did you have somebody like that too? Yeah. Exactly, yeah. Or did you do something with the rifle or your M1 or what? I don't even know if you use M1s anymore in the thing. But at any rate, it was nothing like that at all. And I'm trying to remember some of the other people that did all sorts of things in the service that tried to get out. I often said, I think when you in the Revolutionary War, somebody dressed up as Betsy Ross, to try to get out of the service. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Letty Bruce
was the inspiration.
Yeah. He began the fad for us to try to get out of the Army, and he would cross-dress.
Well, no, he was.
But,
let me tell you a story. Larry Gelbart, remember, our head writer and one of the producers of the show, he had read where Lenny Bruce was in the Coast Guard. And what they have is dress of the day, right? Class A's or fatigues. So he just took dress of the day, and he showed up wearing a dress. He didn't get out. They threw him in the brig. But that's where Gelbart got the idea. And of course, he wrote, funny thing happened on the way to the forum. So guys putting on dress.
And Tootsie.
I'm sorry. The only thing that's different about my character is I never played it femininely. That's the difference. Most of the time, somebody was doing it in the disguise.
Tell the story of the first day. Jamie came for a day's work and stayed for 11 years, okay? Because he was loved and embraced immediately. And I mean, I made it sound like he decided to stay. No, I mean, everybody fell in love with him, and so they signed him on, and he was with us forever. So initially, I'm going to have him tell the story because the director did not know what the character was supposed to be. This is pilot season. So Jamie had this wardrobe waiting for him. He had no script, no sides. And he has this whack uniform or whatever it was and high heels, and so he gets dressed. And the director immediately assumed it was a gay character, and he was going to, so tell the story. It's your story.
Well, first of all, to get the part, Gene Reynolds, who was the producer of it, he was also a child actor, a big-name child actor at MGM Studios, worked at a lot of Andy Hardy movies with Mickey Rooney and that. He became a director. He directed Leave It to Beaver. He directed an episode of F Troop that I happened to be on, and I was supposed to be the stand-up comic Indian in it for the Hakawi tribe. They were going to have a big celebration, and they gave me all of the Milton Berle and Henny Youngman jokes instead of take my wife, please. They gave me take my squaw, please, and all that. So the punchline at the end of that thing was the Hakawi tribe. The chief didn't like me, and he says, "Look. Don't smoke signal us, we'll smoke signal you." In other words, don't call us, we'll call you. So Gene, if he likes you, he puts your name in a book. So when this character came up, he told Larry Gelbart, I think there's only one guy that could possibly get away with this. It's Jamie Farr. And he didn't know who I was. And they didn't tell me that there was a script or anything. I got a call from the agent that said, Gene wants you to work in this new show called MASH. So I said, oh, what's the part? He said, they'll tell you when you get there. So Gene meets me, he takes me into the trailer, and there's this woman's Army Corps uniform hanging up with these huge high heels, size El Grande, they were called, And I said, oh, am I dressing with an actress? He says, no, those are yours, put them on. I go, what kind of a part is this, I didn't even see the dialogue. So I got on stage, and Loretta and everybody starts laughing with the hairy, bold legs and everything that I had.
Beautiful legs. Yeah. Beautiful legs. A little waxing wouldn't hurt, but beautiful legs.
A lot of waxing. But at any rate, so this is the director's real name, E.W. Swackhammer. That was the guy that was directing.
Lovingly called Swack.
So he doesn't know what the part is, and Gene and Larry don't stay there. And he has I had 4 lines or 5 lines or whatever it is. The general's coming out. I go, halt, who goes there? But he had me doing it in a feminine voice. And he goes, oh, Corporal Klinger is still trying to get out of the Army or whatever it is, and he leaves. And then later, at the end of the show, I supposedly show up naked, in the thing. And they said, Klinger, will you get out of here? Well, he had me playing it with the, kind of prissy kind of thing. Well, Gene and Larry saw it, and they said, we can't do this. I mean, how would you play the part? So I said, how about if I play it straight? Let everybody else make the comment on me and give me a cigar and all that. They said, well, try it. So I tried it. They called me back 6 times the first year. I was so happy to be working. I got $250 a day. Pretty good money, boy. Pay the rent. Get some food. Get some tuna fish. So the next year, I did half the shows, and then the third year is when they put me under contract. Loretta, Jamie, and Alan. remained with the show for those all 11 years. Wow. Yeah, we are the survivors.
McLean Stevenson was, I'm sure you'll agree, the funniest human being that ever walked the face of the earth. He did not know how to talk without making you laugh. I mean, he just, everything, that was it. He was just so funny. And I hope you're all going to be ready for this one. Jamie is rehearsing, and we're all rehearsing, and he's there with his rifle, with his hairy legs, but he's supposed to be naked, so they're shooting it. Oh. He's bare-chested, and McLean and I think Alan are waiting on the side looking at this scene that this crazy maniac who's wearing a dress, and we're with a general, and he's saying, you know, what is going on here? Anyway, McLean looks at Jamie and he says, God, look at the size of that thing.
I'm not going to tell you what he meant. Okay, what size it was, big or small? So
it was, I tell you, funniest thing. We couldn't talk for like 10 minutes. Just
and they didn't print
gagging.
They didn't print it. Listen, should we ask him if they have any questions? We've been talking.
We're babbling.
Yeah, I got time for some questions.
Yeah, I've got someone that had a question right over here earlier.
But first, thank you so much for doing this. This is so awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so enjoying this.
Doing what? Do you think we don't look like we're having fun? Are we, you know, this is a ball for us. You know, Jamie and I have been a duet at Q&As for a while. I mean, we're quite a team family, but it's so much fun for us to have this kind of contact or listen to some crazy questions, or you know, it's so much fun. That's why we're here, really.
Okay. Well, thank you both for being here. And we've all learned and grown so much and loved watching you as your family work. But I was just curious, certainly the experience was different for you, and what you learned from the show may not have been the same that we took away the themes of the episodes. So what would you say is the most valuable lesson you learned through your experience with working on the show?
You want to take that, or shall I?
I think you're smarter than I am. You better take that.
Yeah, that's a sweet thing that he just said. I'm not. We were all, you know, like in sync, but it reminded me of something so lovely Harry Morgan did. We were we're all on the stage, and it wasn't a Q&A, but we were, I think, accepting an award or something, and I was saying that I spoke first. They said, oh, let the lady go first, you know. I said, the most wonderful thing is how they treat me. I am an equal. Harry went up next, and he said, I never treated her like an equal, because she is superior. So that is like a typical feel that you can make that kind of joke and understand it, and that was pervasive in our ensemble.
May I add something also? Harry Morgan, who goes way back in movies, in that Oxbow incident with Henry Fonda, Dana Andrews, one of the classic movies.
Inherit the Wind.
Inherit the Wind. All kinds of movies. Worked with Spencer Tracy, Frederick March. All the big stars. Had more television series probably than anybody's ever had.
I said 8, he said maybe 12. I mean, he had major experience.
And what he said to all of us, he says, this is the best thing I've ever done. Can you imagine? I've never been sorry
to leave a show. Yeah. He said, I've never been sorry to leave any program, any series.
Yeah.
But he was choking up, and Harry didn't like being embarrassed by that. You know, he would be touched, and he would have to kind of contain it. But let me just answer your question. I think, and maybe I'm speaking for both of us. And what I got, I think, the most from the show was the humanity, the connection, because I feel the connection in our society is what is the answer to survival to our society in this world. Our connection, caring about each other, you know, helping each other, getting through COVID. I think that's what helped, being willing to wear a mask, being willing to separate, being willing to help each other. Because when we were doing cameos, I would be saying, wear your mask, please, because if you're doing that, you're helping me. And when I'm wearing my mask, I'm helping you. And I think that was the core of MASH, the humanity, not only medically, the doctors and nurses helping people to survive, but also psychologically, some of the things that the priest, our dear Bill Christopher, who really was born to play that role. I had a theory that people returned to the church because of this actor. He was so magnificent in that role. So I think more than anything, the humanity of the show and the way it brought families together and people together, that I hope permeates my character as Loretta. That's the most important thing I feel I got from it. What about you?
I was happy to be working.
Tell them the tuna fish story, please.
Father Elwood Kaiser, who used to do a television show, he was a Jesuit priest, called Insight on TV, and he'd get all the famous directors and famous actors to work for minimum wages on it. And at this particular time, I was really down and out. My wife was expecting our first child, and we didn't have any food in the house, okay? And so he said, Jamie, I have this wonderful part. An Italian boys town, you and Don Gordon, I remember his name now. Don Gordon was the partner with Steve McQueen in the movie Bullet. Very fine actor and everything. And he says, well, I'll give you $350 for the part, and you'll play. I said, okay. Now somebody said, listen, Jamie, Father Kaiser comes down the last day of the shooting with the last shot, and he gives you the check in front of everybody. And usually they'll say, oh, no, that's okay, Father. You just go ahead and keep it for the church. Oh, no, I want you to have it. No, Father, I want you to take it. And then, no. I said, remember, don't let him get to the third time, because the third time he's going to keep it, okay? So I said, okay, I got it. So sure enough, we're shooting the last scene, and he comes over in front of everybody. He says, Jamie, here's your check. Now, my wife's waiting at home with the lights on and everything to get the check, to go to get some groceries for the house. So I said, no, that's all right, Father. You keep it. He says, okay. So wait a minute. What happened to 2 and 3? So I didn't get the check. So I had this little Corvair. I'm driving home, and my wife knew the way the car drove up. That big-nosed guy didn't get the check. That big-nosed guy didn't get the check. We didn't have it. We looked through the entire cupboards and everything, and we found one can of tuna fish. And to this day, we always have a can of tuna fish in our house. Every day. When I tell people, go look in there, you'll see there's a can of tuna fish in the house.
I want to tell you about loving Jamie. My mom, rest in peace, passed at 106. So I have this really strong DNA. I hope I can keep up the record. But whenever anybody talked to her about MASH, she would say, Jamie, of course, is my favorite. I love Jamie. And up there, not to be embarrassed, I would say, next to a daughter, of course, no, I love Jamie the best. She was like, Ma. So one day, we're coming home from an interview in a limo they provided. It was Jamie and me, Mike, and Bill. Anyway, most of us. And Gary was on a monitor. I remember he wasn't with us. It was Matt Lauer on the Today Show or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so my brother calls me and says, Jamie was the best dressed. I had bought like a new suit for this, and I said, you mean next to your sister? No, Jamie was the best dressed. So in my family, Jamie was their favorite MASH star. I don't think you can do better than that. I mean, he's really, really loved.
Well, let me tell you what happened. Her mom was in Nell, yeah. Her mom was in the motion picture home that we have in the Woodland Hills area, and my house is not too far away. So I used to, without Loretta, I used to take the car to visit Nell. I'd go over to see her, and spend time with her. I
They
say,
had this relationship that I didn't know about.
yeah. I go for those 106 babes, boy. So at any rate, I said, Nell, is there anything I can get you? She says, Jamie, what I need, you couldn't possibly get me. Vanilla ice cream. She said, okay.
She really was a piece of work.
Yes, she was.
Jamie and Jamie and Joy live in a lovely, lovely home, and to get to it, there's this drive, but it goes up, and so it seems like the house emerges from this. My mom was so impressed with this. She called it the castle. She wanted to go to Jamie's castle. He's like, okay, we're gonna go. So one day at Jamie's castle, she locked herself in the bathroom. But if it was Christmas and she weren't with Jamie, it would not be a happy. Mom, I'm here for you. No, let's go to Jamie's castle.
We put a favorite chair by the fireplace and gave her some red wine, right?
She loved her red wine,
Yeah,
and she also loved Bailey's.
Yes, Bailey's
because
Irish
it was, and I
cream.
quote, smooth. She said, it's so smooth.
Look, we were doing all the talking. Anybody got any questions?
we got
here?
time time for one or two more
let's
questions.
do your part, all right?
Got time. Just time for one or two more questions.
I saw a hand go up over here right away. I'm going to get this guy.
And they'll be headed back to their table after the Q&A, so please go hang out with them, get an autograph, photo, all that good stuff.
My two favorite episodes were involving Jamie. The first
Sorry
one,
about this.
the first one was the one where General MacArthur is driving in his car, and he's not paying really attention to anybody else, and then he comes upon you dressed up as a Statue of Liberty and salutes you. And then the other episode was you hang gliding, and it was so funny about how Trapper and Hawkeye see this red bird with pink legs, and the girls didn't know what the heck was going on. My question to both of you is, what was your favorite episodes?
It's so difficult after doing 250 plus. But I'd have to say, because I loved Margaret so dearly, I would pick the episodes that most revealed her character to my audience. So obviously the nurses, where she was breaking down over never getting a lousy cup of coffee. And it became such a famous episode. There's a
was on not too long ago on MeTV, and that was absolutely fantastic.
It's a heartbreaker. The mother that I told you was so pledged to him called me the next day after it aired, and she said, Sis, I never became my mother's daughter. I was always Sis, my brother's sister, So, but Sis, she said, there was something different that happened last night. She said, suddenly, there was this poor, lonely woman. She was not my daughter, and I said, Mom, you have no idea what you're saying to me, the actor, what you're saying to me. I totally disappeared for her, and this woman who was lonely and looking for support, and she said, I started to cry, and I thought, oh, God, this is like the most remarkable compliment you can get. So, I would have to say the nurses. I also loved Comrades in Arms, which again revealed this simmering affection the two characters had after combative, arguments all the other seasons. And Alan had written it, he said, early on for us to do, and Gene Reynolds, in his infinite wisdom, said it was too early. The audience wasn't quite ready for that. And we thought they were. We thought our audience was so sharp. We could do anything. That's why Alan wrote Dreams, which was so off-the-wall crazy for a comedy show, to have these dreams with me with my bridal gown covered with blood. I mean, it was so daring. We were so daring, and the audience was always so supportive and with us. So I would have to say the nurses, Comrades in Arms, and Birthday Girls, which my chum helped me win an Emmy for Birthday
tells
Girls.
Everybody that, believe me. I'm so honored that she says that.
Did.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to just break down when he gives me a little cupcake with a match in it instead of a candle. Did you have a candle or a match?
No, I think I had the match. Yeah.
And how could you not be mad in love with this character? So, but Birthday Girls was very special to me. So I would say, but I can keep on going with favorites, but those three really. And I loved call him in that same Birthday Girls, not only touching, funny. Come on, you Arabian aardvark. Now, how many actors can have a line like that? It's like, I loved it. She was funny and dear and demanding, and I really loved the character. And I most love that so many young women responded to her power, her strength, and how many young women out there became empowered by her example, that a woman could be that strong and fight back to these underclassmen who were trying to, these surgeons who were trying to put her down. And I love that. I loved the writing that enabled to me to say, at one point, Hawkeye says to me, what do you want from me? And I say, respect. I will settle for nothing less, and I want no more. I want respect. And it stops him as the character. And so I had this delicious material to give these. See, television is so powerful. What we can do with television, reaching out, and it's a teaching tool. It's enabling people to learn, young people especially, affecting their minds and guiding them in a very positive direction. And it's a monster. It's global, and it affects so many people. So I admire what we did in MASH because it was so positive. It was such a positive message.
May I tell you?
Yeah, we just have about a minute or two left.
Okay. I got to do this. This is a good story. Everybody remembers Jack Benny, right? And one of the funniest lines in the history of radio and television is when he's walking, how cheap he's supposed to be, and a guy with a gun comes up to him and says, your money or your life, okay? And they couldn't come up with a line. They couldn't figure out what's a funny line to say with. And the writers are working like crazy. The writers on we're going to go to air any moment. Come on, your money or your life? And the guy says, I'm thinking. That's the answer. He says, I'm thinking. Well, the thing is that got the biggest laugh. The payoff on the MacArthur thing, when I did the Statue of Liberty, got the biggest laugh. People fell off their sofas laughing at that, and I could tell you why. The next day, I happened to be in Beverly Hills, and taxi drivers were honking their horn. People on the bus were waving at me and everything. I said, what the heck is that? They loved that Statue of Liberty payoff. That's one of the famous ones. That's also why I like that outfit. I may wear it at home.
And we were so out of time. We love you guys so much, but we're running late. We could be here for hours and hours. We love you guys. Jamie, Farr, Loretta Swit, they're headed back to their table. Oh, what an absolute pleasure. You guys can do better than that. That was legendary. Legendary Q&A here.
Hi, this is Aaron Ashmore, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe like now. Oh, and have fun and follow your fandom.